Okay. Hey, Steven, what's up?
Oh, hey, Chanel.
Just chilling.
Just chilling with microphones.
Chilling with microphones in front of us because we have started a podcast.
We have started a podcast. Thank you for joining me.
Uh,
Thank you for joining me.
I'm here too.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Pleasure to
Imagine
have
we
you.
just snap into that tone for this. Like, hey, really low energy.
Yeah, there's this one podcast that's really inspirational where they play, it's a sleep podcast where they read
Ooh.
boring books to you at night. And the woman talks like this. If you're a listener of this
Hello.
podcast and you're that woman, hey.
I run the risk of doing that sometimes if I don't want to
Do you
when
want to
I'm
be a professional?
when I'm in my other room with
Oh.
roommates. I have two rooms, not to
Oh.
brag. When I'm in my other house with the roommates, I try to talk really soft because I don't want them to wake up or whatever. And the listen back is really sleepy. It's bad. It's super
Right.
bad.
So
Super
wake
bad.
up.
Wake up,
Wake
Steven. Good morning, fam. This is Chanel.
Well, welcome to the first episode of Star Vehicle.
Yay.
Not Star Vehicles.
Not plural.
Chanel.
I know it took me just about the entire time we've had the idea to shake out that S,
Shake out the S, but also you kept texting me as if you were going to trip me up and be like, is it Star Vehicle or Star Vehicles? And I was like, no, it's Star Vehicle. And
I feel like I just wanted you to
a day
change
later,
it.
hey, just checking. Star Vehicles, right? I was like, no. It was like an SAT. It was like an SAT question or something like that, where they or like those job interview questions where they ask you one question and then 30 questions later they circle
Same.
back and ask you the same question to see if you were faking.
Just jumble it up, though. They just jumble up those words to make you think
Yeah.
it's new.
No, it's Star Vehicle, singular.
I have a mental block with it.
There are multiple Star Vehicles. You're right. You're 100% right. There are multiple Star Vehicles, and that's why it's a podcast with multiple episodes. But
Each
the
time
title,
it's just one Star Vehicle.
That's right, Chanel.
Yes.
Well, sometimes we might reference more than one, but there will be one focus.
There will be one focus as evidenced by the title. So
By
welcome.
the title.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Star Vehicle, no S. I was pluralizing it like my mother. Yeah, they do that. Chanel, you want to go to Best Buy's later? No, I don't even want to go to Best Buy. What is
I
there
don't want to go
for
to.
you?
I don't even want to go to one.
I don't even want to go to the singular Best Buy. They all do it. And then oh my God,
They?
everything. Mandy growing up, Mandy's.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us
Yes.
on this beautiful journey.
Yeah, so we're really excited about this. We're really excited about this podcast. It was not something that we thought about super long at all.
No, it actually came to fruition while I was watching a Star Vehicle.
Yes, a Star Vehicle, just one.
Just one.
You would think wow, this pod's great. Well, you haven't heard it yet, but you're gonna come to find out it's really good, and you're gonna be like, whoa, how long have they thought about this or have been doing it? Not long
Yeah.
at all.
Not long at all.
Moments. Yeah.
Here's where here's where we put the idea together. I have to get that in my head.
You need the cheerleader.
This is a group project. Okay, we're working together. Okay, so I was watching, and I always blank on the title.
Okay.
Oh, Those Who Wish Me Dead.
Yeah. Oh my God. Do you want to know what I was gonna call it? I Know Who Killed Me. I was prepared to be your Lord and Savior, and then I was going to come in with the wrong title.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it is. Okay, that movie is a word salad of phrases and words, but it's that movie where you might have seen it. It was starring it still stars Angelina Jolie, and it was on HBO Go for a limited time. It might still be there.
Yeah, check it out.
But I was watching this movie, Those Who Wish Me Dead, or I Know Who Killed Me.
Different
And
movie.
Different movie. Or maybe it's not a movie yet, but it could be. And
God.
I was texting Chanel, that's you, that the only reason that I decided to watch this movie was that the advertising focused on Angelina Jolie, and I was like, wow, it's so good to see her in an action movie. I didn't know that it was about forest fires.
And how would you? How
And
would
how
you?
would I know?
The consumer is powerless against
Powerless.
this type of branding.
This machine.
This machine. Yeah. The branding of a star vehicle.
Now there was or not in my defense, against my defense, there were sort of red flames, I guess, in the background. And she looked like she was wearing fire protectant clothing. So I do now.
So that's your bad.
That I do recognize that I should have guessed or inferred that a fire would be at play. But I didn't know. I didn't know it was about wildfires at all.
I thought it was going to be like a sci-fi, like Tomb Raider Angelina. Like, get that back.
It sort of was. It sort of was Tomb Raider in a fire, which
it was very real. It was like, this happens.
It was a little too real.
Yeah, like forest fires happen.
Forest fires do happen. Great point. But
thank you.
It felt so wonderful to be with Angelina Jolie and just see her carved face on screen, like rappelling and jumping and wielding fire tools that she had repurposed as weapons. And I was texting you and I was like, this is like my favorite movie ever. And then I backtracked and said, it might not be the best movie ever, but these types of movies are my favorite movies.
Yes. You were like, is the writing good? Maybe no. Is the acting great? I mean, Angelina's great.
She's wonderful.
You just kind of like, you went like 1, 2, 3. Is this good? Is this good? No, it's like a very medium movie, but like your punchline was, but it's always good to see Angelina Jolie.
So good to see Angelina Jolie without those kids.
I know. You were so psyched.
So then we got to talking, like you said, pretty briefly.
Yeah, so you're texting me about this movie, and I too have like the same. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm like, I've seen the preview, like the poster with Angelina Jolie on the cover, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to see that. I was actually even going to go in theaters because the movie theater had just started to open up.
Wow.
I know.
It would be great to see it in the theater.
I thought that when I settled for it on HBO in my bedroom. But I remember just being like, yeah, no, same logic. I too am going to go see that. And why am I going to go see that? Because Angelina Jolie's on the cover, and that's it.
And the important next step is that if anyone else was in this movie who was not Angelina Jolie and not a movie star, we would not be watching that movie.
We wouldn't have showed up, but
At
would
all.
not be in the seat.
If it was advertised as a fire science movie,
Nope.
I would have said no.
Yeah, or even if they just gave all the characters equal weight on that poster, I might not have seen
no.
Angelina Jolie because she's kind of thin.
She's kind of thin.
And I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have showed up.
An ensemble, it is not.
And like the weird thing is that movie, she's the star, but they do focus on others as well. So,
and by the way, when we reference thin, we're not making fun of her appearance. That is a self-referential.
It's just a fact.
Reference that they make in the movie itself.
Oh yeah, no, I know. In the actual film, they call attention to she's like a little skinny for a firefighter.
Yeah, that's like the last line in the movie.
It's like an interpretation of the line. But
anyway,
you'll forgive us. So we got to talking. Like, we really got to talking. And we're riffing and going back and forth. And I'm kind of like, this is the part where I'm taking credit. Because I just don't think you would have... You needed me to cheerlead you on. Like, I needed to be there to push. Because I was like, wait, I think there's something here. Like, this is funny. The fact that it's, like, such a medium movie, but we're, like, so down based on who's in it. The star.
Oh, sorry. I unplugged my earphones when you said it was your idea.
Fuck you. He didn't unplug his earphones.
Just kidding.
Lied.
No, you're right. It was very much like a discussion.
Okay, so we're talking and we're going back and forth. And I think at first it was just like a discussion between friends being like, I wouldn't be seeing this movie if a star wasn't attached. But you were like very clear. It can't just be any old star. Like, no. It can't just be, a good actor. No. It has to be a movie star.
Right.
And then in the coming days, we really got into it where we were like, this is our favorite way.
It's not Brie Larson. It's Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, so you did bring up that exact example. You're like, so if Brie Larson was starring in this movie, I would not go see it.
No, so it's not like a celebrity. It's a movie star. And there's a big difference.
A huge difference in the way they can hold my attention when they're on screen.
Right.
Major difference. And that got us like thinking too, like what makes a movie star? And it's like sometimes it's intangible, but it's clear.
Right. I know who they are.
Steven is the keeper of whomever is a movie star.
And
so
I can tell.
Know.
I can tell. So we decided to start to explore some of their greatest works.
Yes. Hence, the pod star vehicle was born.
And here we are.
And
we're beginning our coursework today.
Students, get your pens and pencils ready. Strap in.
Yeah.
No laptops, please. The clicking is very distracting.
Yeah, this is a no laptop course.
Mm-hmm. This is like an old-fashioned course. So, put your thinking caps on because we are so ready to take you on our journey of analyzing the star vehicle. And when I say analyzing, it's loose. We're just talking about star vehicles, and it's fun.
Right. Mostly just trying to figure out the plot and then thinking about what that means.
And it's been fun to see like what the different movie stars bring to their respective vehicles. So that's always like a fun little exercise to just like, follow the course of their starlight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's what we think we're doing here. And I say think carefully.
Oh,
that's
brother.
what we think we're doing here. We're not sure.
But thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here today. We are so happy to have you. And without further ado, we are so excited to show you or have you listen to.
Yeah, turn your video on.
Turn your video on. You won't get anything.
Yeah.
We are so excited for you to listen to our first episode, which covers Monster-in-Law, starring Jennifer Lopez and Jane Fonda. Let's dive into the survivor pit. Let's dive in. Let's dive into the star vehicle. Climb in through the window. Workshopping that.
Yeah, sure.
Good job. Good try. Climb in through the sunroof.
We'll land that next time.
We'll land it next time. Dive in through the top of the roof through the star vehicle. Strap in.
Are you good? Well, actually, this was like a really much needed reprieve to watch this movie.
On vacation, you mean?
On vacation.
Okay, great.
And I would really implore everyone to watch it, whether they're on vacation or not.
Yes.
Because it actually does have a lot to do with essentially vacationing with others and or like staying in someone else's home and like the politics of that. Mm-hmm. So it actually felt like really, really relevant to...
A relevant flick. Of course, life. The movie in question is 2005's Monster-in-Law.
Yeah.
Starring the evergreen Jane Fonda.
Right.
And Jennifer Lopez.
Now, I do have to correct you there a little bit because Jane Fonda does not have the star billing. Jennifer Lopez has the star filling.
Okay, so I was going to ask you this. Do you think that they shot
I agree with the way that you
I phrased it.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So now I know that this is true because you said she has the star billing. They shopped this as a J-Lo star vehicle.
Yeah, it is. And we'll get into it, but
promised.
Like clearly the way that they like structured the movie, they were banking this as a Jennifer Lopez vehicle, but that vehicle was hijacked in the best way possible. Thank God. Because,
thank God.
When one star something, another star somethings, because we'll get into it. But yeah we're going to talk about Monster-in-Law.
Monster-in-Law, 2005. What a time.
I think I actually did see like pretty close to when it originally came out, but I can't say that I've seen it in like the last 5 years. Like I don't remember the last time I watched this movie.
Okay, we wanted to get into it right away with the title. Monster-in-Law.
Yeah. The title is Monster-in-Law, and I think that this is where and it can lead to some confusion for the lay viewer because they are trying to let us know right off the bat that obviously they're kind of hitting you over the head, right? It's not mother-in-law, it's monster-in-law.
Yeah.
So the mother is the monster.
Yeah.
However, that upon this viewing is not the case. The monster is somebody else.
Top billed herself.
Yeah, is top billing. And
wow.
It is interesting to watch a movie where they so clearly had the villain in mind, and yet you can't help but strongly dislike the main character and hope for really terrible things to happen to her.
It's a real fail.
And that's Jennifer Lopez.
Top billed. If anything about the title, I just feel like it's lazy, but it gets the job done. It's like punny and monster-in-law, mother-in-law. People say that. It's fine.
It's fine.
I don't care about it.
I don't have a better one off my head. How about that?
That's how I feel. I don't have a better one. So I'm so excited to dive in.
Unless they called it like temp. or how about this? What if they called it temp and then with a little hyphen temptress? That's the better title. Right?
Yeah, because like monster-in-law will have you
temptress.
Oh my gosh, wait, calling this temp would have killed me. It's like, yeah, if Jane is not going to be top billed, it looks like they're sharing billing. I'm looking at the poster. But yeah, no, Jennifer Lopez is clearly first in the credits.
She's first.
So to call it monster-in-law is a misnomer. This movie should have been called Temp.
It should have been called Temp.
Wow. You're blowing my mind. How about I read the log line really quick, and then let's just keep it moving. Keep the star vehicle moving. Sorry. Okay.
It'll click. It'll land eventually.
Eventually. The love life of Charlotte is reduced to an endless string of disastrous blind dates until she meets the perfect man, Kevin. Unfortunately, his merciless mother will do anything to destroy their relationship. Gets the job
honestly,
done.
I do think that is the movie that they wanted to make.
Yeah, that was the promise.
But it's not the one that's delivered. And I didn't really know that her actual name was Charlotte. I thought, we'll get to that, but I thought that was
Charlie.
a joke.
I love that they mentioned Kevin by name.
Dog's name.
They're like, endless string of disastrous blind dates. Never one time in this movie do we see a blind date.
We don't see that. We don't see any blind dates.
None. Zero. Until she meets the perfect man, Kevin. Just like the name Kevin is a real bummer in this log line. Unfortunately, his merciless mother will do anything to destroy their relationship. That's like the truest line. That last line is fine.
Yeah.
I like words like destroy.
It's close, but that is the final product is not that.
Yeah, the promise of the premise wasn't really delivered on.
And I think we benefit from that because I don't really know if I want to watch that movie. I want to watch the one that I just watched, which is
I want to watch the one. I want to watch the one that we got. So, boom, we open up on this gorgeous like pier. I am only left to assume it's Santa Monica or like Venice maybe. And
it's stunning. It's
stunning,
really beautiful.
Opening shot. And we're panning over a crowd of beachgoers. And
everyone's having a great day.
It's a great day. It's a sunny day, assuming it's obviously California. And we crane on over. And you mentioned something about the opening song.
I don't know the name of the song, and honestly, I don't even need to look it up, but I've heard it, and you've heard it like a million times. It's used in 9 out of 10 movies in the opening like credits.
The song
it's
of
a movie song
of movies. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that.
it let me know 2 things. Number 1, I was watching a movie, which was correct. And number 2, that don't fear because this is fun.
This is going to be fun. It reminds me very much.
You don't play that movie song if trouble is afoot.
Oh,
so
no.
You immediately can relax because they
so
play
it
that
set the tone.
Song.
It like set our tone. Yeah. You've heard it before. You've seen it all before. And then we crane on over.
Don't ask us the name of the song.
Don't ask us the name of the song. We won't even look it up. We had the opportunity to. Did we? No.
Oh,
I think the song says something about mama. It's like a song and it's a repetition of the word of mama. So just like letting us know what's coming.
Sure.
And like the title monster-in-law, I think we got it. Like, we got it. We're fine. So,
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, so we crane on over, and we're met at the window by J-Lo, our star, our top build. And
Who we think is the star.
But stay tuned, folks. So we're in her beautiful, beautiful, I'm going to call it an artist's space.
Yeah, I mean, she's surrounded by sketches of what she would probably describe as fabulous gowns, but they look very run-of-the-mill.
Yeah.
So you could only infer that this woman is, you know, a top designer. She has a corner apartment with like huge windows. But then the camera pans down and we see what she's wearing. And designer, she is not. She's
not.
wearing, and we'll see this repeated throughout the film, essentially like these tunic smock shirts over jeans.
I want to go ahead and call them dresses. Oh, you've seen them on QVC?
Yeah, I've seen these on QVC.
Yeah.
But, and that's not a diss, it's a reference. But they're...
Thank God.
Yeah. You're right. They are dresses. And she could have worn it as a dress, but she chose not to. She wore jeans under it.
Well, it's a very 2005 aesthetic, which I'm not psyched about. You know, make them, I love like the timeless look of Jane Fonda's outfits in this, but J-Lo's are not it. It's a long dress over a pair of jeans, bell-bottom jeans, so just a lot of fabric, you know? Yeah. And I feel like a sneaker, maybe.
And a sneaker. But the film is definitely communicating to us that she's a fashion designer. That is basically what they are telling us from the top. Like, this woman is a fashion designer. That is her livelihood. That's how she pays the rent.
That's what that's what they tried to shop to us. They workshopped it.
And she must be very successful because she has a huge apartment.
Gorgeous place. Swatches of fabric everywhere. Pencils, colored pencils, paper, renderings. We cut to a close-up of a hand that's probably not J-Lo's hand, drawing like a beautiful gown. And we're just like, this is Devil Wears Prada 2.
Yeah. And this is also like 2005. This is the age of like Project Runway season 1 and season 2. This is when everybody was basically told that they could be a fashion designer.
I remember.
Like
the
everybody
feeling.
thought if only I had the tools, I could make something out of nothing.
I had a friend teach me how to draw a gown. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a fashion designer. That's it.
Yeah, and all the sketches were definitely like the back of the gown or like the bow or like a button, not like a fully realized.
It was the movie version of, look at me, I'm a fashion designer.
But she's a fashion designer. That's what we're told.
Yeah.
That's what we're shown, not what we're told.
That's what we're shown. And it's clearly like at least a $4,000 place. Maybe less in 2005, but like her rent is high.
Very expensive. You can adjust it for inflation.
Yeah, but I would put it at like a $3,000 to $4,000-ish a month place.
But, okay, so all that aside, I hope you caught what was the most disturbing aspect of her apartment.
Lay it on me.
Okay, so after she has a conversation with Adam Scott, who we're not talking about on this
We're not going to talk about Adam Scott in this. This is us getting it out of the way now.
Okay. Sorry, Adam, if you're a viewer of this podcast, but we are not going to be discussing your work in this movie. Okay, so she runs down the stairs, booking it. And we're still assuming that this is her apartment because at the bottom of the stairs, there is a little shelf, if you will. And she turns left and opens the door. But before she opens the door, she puts her dirty fingers in her mouth and kisses them. And then puts them on faces of two other people who we can assume are her dead parents. Now, that's one thing. The other thing was the shrine littered with lit candles.
Just casual.
Candles that were not only lit when she came down the stairs, but remained lit even after
When
she
she
slammed
left.
the door. As if this is like, JFK, and this is an eternal flame.
The
of her
eternal
parent.
flame of her mom and dad. I did get the sense
Right.
that those candles are never blown out.
The anxiety that I felt when she closed that door and those candles were still lit was almost too much to handle. So we're right off the bat, we are shown, not told, that her parents are dead. And what really made me kind of giggle on the inside about this moment, and this will kind of carry through with the movie, is that this movie is very into essentially psychoanalysis and mental health. And essentially what they're telling us there in that moment is that her parents are dead. You know what that means. Like,
Get ready.
Yeah, like
Gear up. Somebody is looking for a fam.
Yes.
She's longing for...
It's like she's missing something.
She's missing something.
Right.
Yeah.
So...
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, that was
kiss,
a
kiss.
whirlwind.
It was a whirlwind of an opening sequence
Whirlwind.
for me.
But yeah, the dirty fingers in her mouth, kissing the lit candles. It was a lot. But anyway, she leaves the apartment, and we assume that this successful fashion designer is off to
her high-powered gig as a fashion designer.
Off to make moves.
Off to her salaried position
Yeah,
as a fashion
exactly.
designer. She collects
her full time with
full-time
benefits,
gig
with fashion.
401k provided.
Right.
Job.
Dental.
No. Not the case in this movie.
No.
This is where she runs off to start one of her many temp jobs as a dog walker, right?
This was a real shock to me.
This is shocking.
Because the next scene, it cuts to her holding on to 8
Gripping
to 10 dogs.
White knuckling 2 leashes.
White knuckling, hands forward, like
Hands
she's
forward,
training for the Iditarod.
Being
And she's
dragged by no less than 2 Dalmatians. Or, I don't know. But like, when have you ever seen 2 Dalmatians?
on the beach, no
On
less.
the
One of the most
beach.
difficult terrain to walk on.
The comedic image that I could have died without forever. This is a little harsh because like it's not hurting anyone, but I don't need J-Lo to like wrangle dogs on screen for me. It's not like I don't care. Like I didn't need it.
It was sort of
goofy.
just like it was
Goofy.
very, very
So goofy.
It was so goofy. And it also felt like we were just like missing a scene that told us that she was a dog walker, because in the last scene we were led to believe that she was
Fashion
a
designer.
executive. And again,
Just
if
kidding.
if she had walked out of the house with 8 dogs, I would have said, "Oh, those are her eight dogs."
She's a dog
But
lady.
she had like the dog walker belt. So again, they showed, not told, like it was very clear that no, this woman,
I'd
this
argue
woman is a dog walker.
they showed,
By
but then
trade.
they showed, but then they also told, which to me is just funny. It's just absolutely hilarious. Like, of course they showed us and we're like, okay, got it. But then she'd also be like, well, I'm a dog walker. And then same with the parents. Like they showed us, great, beautiful job, very nuanced and light, albeit like weird with the candles. And then, a couple scenes later, oh, my parents are dead. It's like, you were doing so great.
The movie loves to hit you over the head, like with information about Jennifer Lopez.
That's me bashing my fist for listeners at home.
Because on one of her other temp jobs, which is
Okay, yes, her jobs, plural.
like a receptionist who has like pretty poor control of like HIPAA law, like at a doctor's office, who is like
Yes.
openly shouting medical information through a microphone into the waiting room.
Yeah.
They're always like, "Oh, you're here for the day, right? You're here temporarily, right?" And like
Temporarily. Temp. You're a temp.
yeah. So another one of her jobs is she's, front of house at a doctor's office.
Some sort of clinic or whatever.
Yeah, another clinic.
Had me wondering about like laws. Like, can anyone just like walk off the streets and do that job? Any old dog walker
thought you
just
needed-
fly in? She's wearing scrubs.
You needed like some sort of medical training.
That's what I thought, but no. She takes a man's some sort of specimen in a paper bag. We'll never know what it exactly was. And I know
we can
the object.
We can infer that it's pretty gross, though.
It's disgusting in there. But I'm going to say, okay, like, I know how I was supposed to feel about that moment. I was supposed to be like, ew, because her reaction shot told me to be like, ew. But I felt bad for the guy. I felt bad for the patient who you come to a doctor's office to not feel ashamed of, like, your condition or your body. And then J-Lo was like, oh my God, I'll let the doctor know you're here. Disgusting, ew. And then she puts Purell on.
She opened that bag as if there was a severed head in there.
It's so like, rude. Yeah, then we cut to this like ridiculous reaction shot. Whereas like if I were the patient and I saw the receptionist at the doctor's office do that, I would be like, I'm leaving this practice and never coming back. That was so rude of you.
Right. And I mean, looking at the size of the bag, and again, we can cut this out, but like, I was like, okay, like, let's infer like what could realistically be in that bag. And it's not, I'll say this right now, it's not a stool sample. It's not. It has to be a number one sample. And
you think?
I think so.
My whole thing was like, those containers are sealed. So why are you like making a frowny face? You know what? This brings me to my grander point, which I feel a little bit guilty saying because, you know, acting's hard. But J-Lo didn't make a decision about what was in the bag. And I like to see choices from my actors. And she had not made a choice. She didn't make the decision. So therefore, it was muddy for us. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on her. I'm going to go ahead and say step up. And you know what? I think she does step up because in like later movies, I see more specific work. We're not talking about those now.
She does land a few zingers in this movie that did make me LOL. But this was not my favorite scene.
Yeah. So
but
I just have her looking at like a temp with the headset on. Like if they Googled temp, this is the outfit. Yeah. Headset on. Makes this poor man feel badly. Okay.
They take us through her days. She's, you know, hustling and bustling. And then eventually we end one of her many days with her friends in the courtyard.
This was disturbing.
Of their joint mansion.
Yeah, okay, so the courtyard's so confusing. It's like gorgeous. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is the courtyard of the original apartment that we saw in the opening shot, where we can infer that Spanish. Adam Scott also lives, and then another person who I don't know her name in the movie, and I don't even know her actress name.
The poor woman is given nothing to do. So nothing to do. Adam Scott is at least given something to work with.
And he goes down a really dark path.
He goes down a dark path, and it's a little inappropriate. It's actually not too bad, but we're not talking about Adam Scott. Okay.
We're not.
So the courtyard scene is disturbing. They are sitting down discussing the fact that she hasn't dated in a while. And this is one of those moments where they're going to tell, not show. Like, it's, you know, we just got to spit out this exposition. Right. So what do they say? They're like, you're turning, oh my gosh, the woman who we don't know the name of, she goes, you're turning into a bit of a, no, we're worried about you. You're turning into a bit of a freak. And then Adam Scott's character goes,
but said with like sincerity. Like,
should I try it again? Okay. We're so worried about you. I'm not going to be able to do it.
No, I think your first one was good. I was just like, they were using the term literally. They were like,
they were trying to land it.
You dog walker
are turning into a freak. I'm just like, what does she mean by freak? What does freak even mean? It's like a weird word to choose.
Yeah.
Like it would make more sense if they're like, you're turning into a bit of a loser or a square or like a grandma, because then at least I understand the intent. I don't understand the intent of freak.
Like, what? And then they go a step further and they give her a diagnosis. And they're like, you're crazy.
You're crazy.
You're a crazy person.
Yeah, Adam Scott's like, we think it's from you not having sex.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. It's like a real intervention moment.
Because what we've glossed over is that during her day-to-day, like, day labor, she's had these run-ins with this guy who will become her love interest, and essentially she's talking about how, like, she's like developing this relationship with this guy, and they're like, have you talked to him? And she's like, no. And then,
Should I have, you weirdos? You freaks. That was so on the nose too. They're like, so what'd you say to him? And she's like, I haven't talked to him yet. And she's like drinking from a straw in a really cutesy way. It's a really odd behavioral choice.
and like a really like ratty sweater that she like dug up.
Oh my God.
One of her many holy moly sweaters that she wears.
A common theme that we love to talk about is like it's just like, it's J-Lo. Just thinking like, this is J-Lo, this is Jane Fonda. And like thinking of J-Lo deciding at the beginning of the day, like, this is a cute choice to be sipping this drink with my knees up from a straw. And then through every subsequent camera setup, she has to sit with her knees up drinking from this straw. I love thinking about stuff like this.
Well, that's what did make me laugh about Jennifer's like character choices, is that I really think, okay, this is like 2005. She's like an uber star. Like she's a big time star.
Mm-hmm. I think I have to remind myself.
I feel like what she wanted to do in this movie is she was like, I'm gonna be a normal. I'm gonna be a regular Joe. And she's like, what do?
This is how normal people drink, right?
They work shitty jobs and they wear these nasty sweaters. She's like, that's what normal
be a normal.
And like she's doing her best normal, but like much like her friends diagnose her, she comes across a little bit like a freak.
Yeah, she's like aliening it up. Like alien from outer space coming to study human behavior kind of didn't really nail it.
But you're right, she is so goofy. Like she's really goofy.
Goofy, and it doesn't fit. It's like, I don't want to see her do that. I don't know what's wrong.
Kind of like what's the
flustered
word I'm looking for? She's like she's almost like stuck. It's almost like whenever her parents died, she's still stuck at that age. Like
I was going to say,
it's like her parents died at 12 and then she never matured past 12 because that's the way that she behaves in this movie.
She's wearing so many pigtails. And
she dresses like a middle schooler, and she like talks and acts like she basically, and she has like after school jobs like you would have in like middle school.
Oh my God, I know. So she goes like, I'm like a little league
coach. Your local doctor office.
She's like, I'm a temp, I'm a dog walker, I'm a little league coach, and I teach yoga. Yes. The fuck, bitch.
She's a little league coach.
Little league coach had me. I was like, oh my God, J-Lo.
I forgot about that. Yeah, but she's sort of like trapped in this like juvenile, like.
Maybe that was her choice, and that's actually pretty. In that case, wow, good for you. Because she was acting like she was acting like Vanessa Ann Hutchins in High School Musical.
Much like her friends, like I just diagnose, I don't prescribe, but something is wrong. Like she's not
okay. I feel like a therapist scene would have been great in this movie. Instead of like the friend intervention, throw her on a couch with a therapist. Ooh.
They would have, and to use a word used later on in the film, they would have sent her to the loony bin.
Loony bin. It's not okay. It's so inappropriate.
Yeah, I was like, I did laugh when that word was used, and I know it's inappropriate, and it's a really irresponsible way to talk about mental health.
2005. I'm just going to keep saying it.
It's funny to hear someone casually just throw around the phrase loony bin.
Casually chuck that around. I feel like that actually probably was a staple of life in the early 2000s. It's like something we just don't hear anymore, so it really is rare.
You don't hear it enough, and I know there's a reason for it. I know there is a reason that we don't use that term.
We know.
Sure. For sure. However,
yes, not condoning.
When it catches you off guard,
skewered me.
It really did make me laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel bad about it, but it was very funny. I don't know. Did I put a pin in, like, I just feel like J-Lo didn't build this character out to have a life beyond what we saw in these scenes. So like her apartment, like I feel like J-Lo didn't do a walkthrough beforehand and be like, I live here. This is my space. I break bread here. I never felt once like she had a dinner there. I never felt like she slept there. I just didn't feel like she lived there.
I think that we're really onto something here, because This whole like Arrested Development stage of her, like as a middle schooler, like that's basically like what a 12-year-old's dream house would look like.
Yes.
Like shit everywhere. Like nothing put away. Like,
oh my God, yeah.
Art supplies everywhere. I bet she made those sketches with crayons. And like we didn't see a kitchen.
I didn't see a kitchen. Correct.
We didn't see a closet. I didn't see an ironing board. I didn't
the
see
house
any
was the
tools.
closet.
The house was
the house was the closet.
We didn't see any tools of maturity. How about that?
You know what? I'm now enjoying that art direction, because you're right, it has to be that. And then Kevin, our wonderful, her fiance who we don't give a shit about, Kevin comes in and he's like, oh, did you just move in? And she's like, no, I've been here 4 years.
Which
and he
actually
really calls
is a
attention
helpful
to it.
grounding line, because it
was very
shocking to walk into her apartment.
Walk into it. Exactly. I was very thankful for that line. I was like, oh my God, thank you for clearing this up, because I thought this was like bohemian and creative, and then it was like she's a dog walker, and then nope. And then, oh, did you just move in? No, I've been here 4 years. Okay, so something's not right. She doesn't have her shit together.
I do want to say this though, which is that, for the temp community, this is not the temp representation that I think that community is craving. Because
no,
this is not like, I don't want to speak for the community, but any temps that are out there, like, this is not the movie you deserved. I will just say that. She
was just giving it. I mean, I had a hard time even calling her a temp. It's like, if you dog walk, you're a yoga instructor, and you do Little League, that's not even temp positions. Those are just like passions, I guess. And then you temp at a doctor's office.
Well, arguably, like Little League coach, that's more volunteer. I don't think
volunteer.
They don't really pay you for that.
I feel like yoga instructor, volunteer.
Imagine you're a Little League coach.
I think she did the caterer.
Was like, I'm here for the paycheck.
Your friend's dad, who's coaching the Little League team, is like, I'm here for the Benjamins.
I'm only here for the payout.
We get extra if we go to playoffs.
Yeah.
You can't be making any money doing that. I was so confused by all these jobs. I think caterer seemed like she did it for free, because she showed up at that one gig and her friend was like, oh my God, we're short 2 people. Thank God you're here. And then she's like, grab the shrimp balls. And JLo's like, got it. And then they grab the shrimp balls. So I feel like catering was volunteer, Little League volunteer, yoga teacher per diem.
She's stretched so thin that like there's an expression that I'm going to butcher, but essentially it's like, you can't have your feet in 2 boats or something like that.
Yeah, you'll do a split.
Like, you can't, like, she's spread so thin. It's actually like really immature of her to have. She has no focus, and this will come back when we meet Jane Fonda. But like, her assessment of Jennifer Lopez, which we're supposed to be reading as merciless,
negative, bad,
is
spot on. Perfect.
But I think that
she's like, I got your number, babe.
We have to move on to Jane Fonda.
Okay, yes, yeah, we're spending too much time on like the first 12 minutes of this film.
Yeah, this is minute
Jane.
15.
This is literally 15. Well, honestly,
maybe even minute 10.
In terms of world building, like, I'm very happy we spent the time we spent up top, because it's chaotic, but then also it almost never comes back. Like, we never hear about her fashion again. Except chaotic, in her choices.
And I think this is really how they pitched this movie to Jennifer. They were like, look on the first 30 pages of the script. Do you see anyone else's name? And she's like, no. She's like, they're like, this is your movie. Because like literally the first 30 minutes, there is no Jane Fonda.
No,
and it's
literally.
Very bizarre.
It's, especially knowing how like the celebrity wave has like run over these last like 15 years, it's like, where's Jane Fonda? I'm just like itching for her. And it's like, no, in 2005, people were excited to see Jane Fonda, but she actually wasn't the draw. And this was her comeback film. You know this. She was coming back on with this. This was it. Poor Janie is all I have to say. But okay, so we can leave Charlie. Did we mention her name is Charlotte? But she goes by Charlie. Okay, just random.
I refuse to use her baptismal name on
Her name
this.
is Jennifer Lopez.
Her name is
J-Lo.
Jennifer Lopez. Okay,
Yeah,
anyway, so she meets this guy. She's courting him, whatever.
Boring.
His mom is Jane Fonda, which cut to a scene where Jane Fonda is at work.
Yeah, Jane at work. Okay. Flip page. So Jane Fonda is like a Barbara Walters type who for some reason has become a daytime talk show. She's turned Ellen or whatever. And do you want to go straight to the interview?
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, we were teed up that she is essentially this like super powerful daytime talk show host, and we find out that she's losing her job, and then they cut to essentially what's going to be her last interview, which appears to be with a Britney Spears composite
like knockoff. Yeah.
character. And Jane has had it.
She's had it. Actually, wait, I have the script up here and I want to say the thing where she's basically looking at the Britney Spears like knockoff on screen. And she goes, I've done exclusives with Kissinger, the Dalai Lama, Muhammad Ali, 4 sitting presidents, 3 of them hit on me, and 5 Emmys. And now I'm being replaced by a young thing whose grandmother loves me. I just want to say in that moment, I really felt like that was Jane Fonda. Kind of like just being Jane Fonda, like saying like, I'm coming back to do this, cheap movie. And look at my replacement. Like, look at what the world has become. And I felt like that felt, like bone. That was real. That was real, Jane.
I think you make a really important point here, which is that literally when the camera shifts to Jane Fonda at work, we are watching a totally different movie. Mm-hmm. Jane Fonda and like Wanda Sykes are acting circles around
everybody.
Whatever Jennifer Lopez was doing.
Yeah.
At her temp agency in the first part of the movie. And like suddenly I am watching 2 people who know what they are doing. And
oh, yes. You can tell. This is the buddy comedy we needed.
Suddenly I'm laughing. I'm sitting up.
I'm relaxed because
attention.
I'm not like cringing at a performance, at a line reading. The banter is good. It's natural.
It's so funny.
Oh, I do love them together.
So anyway, she has this freak out with this Britney Spears like composite character, and
lunges at her,
physically assaults her, and
we don't condone.
Cut to black.
X months later, we get the therapy
She's at
scene.
the loony bin.
She's fresh out the loony bin.
She's fresh out the loony bin.
Out the loony bin. And
How many months was she in the loony bin?
They don't really say, but it makes me die that the therapist plays back the footage from that day. Shows Jane Fonda like her behavior, like her lunging at this poor like little girl. And then Jane's like, oh, I'm so glad that was the me of the past. And then the therapist has this like really cringe line where she's like, don't forget, the breakdown was only a few months ago. So it's just like an ambiguous amount of time has gone by.
Very ambiguous amount of time. But Jane has completed her stint in the loony bin. And again, I'm only using that term because that is what was given to us in the film.
Script. Yes.
Yeah. So for all intents and purposes, that might have just been the name of this mental health service.
I actually watched it back and it's like Inverness blah 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 retreat, and I was like, oh damn, it has a name. That's cool.
Yeah, it did have an actual name.
So anyway. They go, Jane's like fresh out, and her son Kevin decides, I'm gonna bring my girlfriend Jennifer Lopez over. And Wanda Sykes truly has another line where we treat mental health like not with the severity it deserves. He basically brings J-Lo, and Wanda Sykes pulls him aside and she's like, you're gonna bring your girlfriend here like the first day her mom's back. And she goes,
and she's right, by the way.
She's so correct. Wanda Sykes and Jane Fonda are
really
like bringing
inappropriate. This is the first time she's seen her son in
months, potentially
and he's
longer.
Bringing this temp.
He's bringing the temp, and Wanda Sykes says, Are you crazy? She's fresh off the funny farm. So we have insensitive mental health joke number 2.
Yeah. Again, we're just quoting this for integrity.
We're quoting this for complete integrity. We both take mental health very seriously. We both suffer in our own right and our own private ways. But we're here for you. We're allies. We hope this podcast is a reprieve, and I'm done with our disclaimers. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. So they're having a great time at first. Jane and J-Lo, the JJs, are talking. They're being really touchy. They're like giggly and laughy. And Kevin is just a bystander. He's like, wow, look at my 2 ladies hitting it off. And then he does something so goddamn inappropriate.
Wait, but before he does that, I did really laugh at the line where
let's hear it.
Jennifer Lopez was saying like, "Oh my God, he's so sweet. He's always there for me, whatever." And then Jane Fonda's response to her is, "Well, enjoy it while it lasts." And is this where she compared him, said that he looked like Jesus?
No, that was at the lunch, but that's one of my favorite lines ever.
Oh, yeah.
I like to think Kevin looks like Jesus. And then she looks up. Oh my God, perfect. I think you brought this up when we were chatting before. Jane Fonda has rehearsed. She has run this script. I'd believe it if she said, I did this script cover to cover 85 times in my house. Her line delivery is perfect. It's perfect. She's the best line deliveries maybe of her career in this movie. And I'm going to go on the record and say I think this movie got her Grace and Frankie. I know she's Jane Fonda, but the character type, I think this movie single-handedly booked her Grace and Frankie. It's very similar. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it. So wait, so you were just talking about enjoy it while it lasts. Oh yeah. But okay, so Kevin ridiculously decides I'm going to propose now. And he does. It's really inappropriate. No. So inappropriate. And then we find out that this is just a fantasy, but Jane Fonda smashes J-Lo's face into the cake. Which felt right. Felt correct. And they shouldn't have taken it back as just like a fantasy, but they did. They took it back. Yeah. So I just get a kick out of knowing that Jane Fonda got to literally smash J-Lo's head in a cake on set that day. That's exciting to me. And really went for it. I think Jane's like taking a lot of her frustrations out in this film, and I'm very happy for her. Like she just smashes her head in. There's a lot of smacks in this movie too. A good backhand to the face. Yeah. A lot of physical violence that doesn't leave any bruises, which I guess is... That's how we want our slapstick, right? That's how we want our altercations to go. Yeah. So, okay, let's cut to their first lunch together. Okay, so they're engaged. It's accepted. Blah, blah, blah. And then Jane Fonda decides that in order to make right, she's going to just ingratiate herself in the wedding. Yeah, just go to lunch. Just butt in and be the wedding planner. So they're out to lunch. There's some of the best line readings of the movie at this lunch. So, oh my God, wait. Right after the proposal. Yeah. I know. Do you want to slide or are you good? Huh? Do you want to like move in front of that window or turn the light on? Let me turn the light on. Yeah, turn the light on. Let's pause. Readers, we're pausing. I've been taking sips of coffee this whole time. I hope you can't hear. Does the light not work in there? Great. You look awesome. I fixed it. Perfect. You look so great. Thank you. I forgot to mention on the couch, right after he's proposed, Jane Fonda's like, marriage is a sacred sacrament between like a man and a woman. And J-Lo's like, weren't you married 4 times? And it's just not it. It's just not the performance. That actually is really important to bring up because like, what the movie wants you to believe is that Jane Fonda is going out of her way to be merciless towards and just Jennifer horrible. Lopez. However, Jennifer Lopez really throws the first punch with that line. Lobs the first ball. Up until that point, Jane Fonda has arguably done nothing wrong.
She's rightfully been like, wait, you're proposing to this girl that I'm just meeting for the first time now, and you've only known her for a few months, and she's a temp with no career aspirations?
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm surprised. Like, explain yourself.
Those are like valid concerns.
Yeah.
And
I
she was
felt bad.
wearing one of those, like, you know, tunic dresses. She wasn't looking,
Ooh.
you know,
I
she
was
wasn't looking her best.
Did she have pigtails on at that point? No, she didn't have pigtails on at that point. Yeah. So it was really important that we double back really quick and just bring up the fact that JLo was like, weren't you married 4 times? Which is super rude. And the line delivery is just off.
So rude.
You can tell JLo knows that she has to deliver the line and then take it back immediately. Be like, oh my God. Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I slipped. But it's very anticipatory. Like she's anticipating. So it's not very free or in the moment. And I just can't help but think I'd love to see Jane Fonda play both parts, you know?
Oh, that would have been a better movie.
That would have been amazing.
She could play all the parts.
Yeah. So, I mean, we go to the lunch and there are truly some of the best line readings of the flick at this lunch. Oh my God. That's where she says, Kevin, we have to have the wedding in a church because Kevin always reminded me of Jesus. And then she looks at the ceiling, Jane Fonda. And that was one of those bedroom rehearsals. That was like the result of a rehearsal.
Perfectly executed.
I always thought that
Jennifer
Kevin
Lopez
looked like
trying
Jesus.
to read that line. Ugh.
No, she wouldn't nail it. I also feel bad saying this, but I think what we're getting at is Jennifer Lopez is not a comedian. She's not a comedian.
She's she's goofy.
I mean,
and
in this movie,
her laughs land in spite of her acting.
Yeah, it's just written in the punchlines, I guess.
Yeah.
We have present from your new mama, and then she hands her that ginormous cross. Another glorious line reading from Jane Fonda. And JLo's just reacting. She's like, "Oh, you can see the thorns on it." Great, good job, girl.
Well, that's when JLo's like, "I'm more spiritual than religious."
Did you believe that for
very
a
2005
second?
line?
She's like, "We're thinking of having a non-denominational ceremony because I'm more spiritual than religious." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yoga instructor, take a seat."
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what else is said? Oh my God, Jane Fonda plucks a hair from her head, which I think is like a gray maybe. And then she puts it in her purse.
No, she wanted to take it to like a crime lab.
Oh, that's what that was.
Yeah, because Wanda Sykes jokingly was like, "What do you want? You want me to get a hair sample and send it to the police?" And Jane Fonda's like, "No, I can do that."
Jane plucks a hair from her head, wraps it in a napkin, and puts it in her purse. And it is truly one of the best throwaway moments.
We never see it again.
It's never brought up again, and we never see it again. And it's definitely one of the best moments that never come back in this whole movie. God, this is a great film. This movie is so good.
Yeah, the scenes with Jane Fonda are really, like, there's no wasted scene with her that's not funny. She makes
every moment something.
Yeah.
And I have to thank her for that. Like, if I could ever thank her, it would be, I would thank her for this performance. Truly, I would. And then the only other thing I wanted to say about the lunch is she's like, of course, they're talking about wedding planning and dresses and whatever. And she's like, of course, I was a virgin when I wed. And like just using the word wed. Of course, I was a virgin when I wed, but for you, we'll just pretend.
Oh, right. When they're talking about her wearing a white dress.
Rude. So rude in the best way.
Yeah. But again, like, it's so fun. Like, if J-Lo could have been a Lawler in real life.
She needed to be able to laugh.
What a fun lunch to be at. But
I wonder if I would have played this role differently. J-Lo's character. Just make her like more, because if someone said that to you, you'd be like, you would laugh.
Funniest thing I've ever heard.
You're like, what?
But now Jennifer Lopez gets a little attitude on her, and I don't even know what she says. It's irrelevant. But what does she say? You're being pushy or something?
Well, she makes me really uncomfortable because you know what comes next in the script, literally just by watching a ton of these formulaic movies, is like, she has to stop her somehow. So she's like, no to all of it. No, thank you, but no. And again, it's like really tentative.
Thank you, but no.
Thank you, but no. And it's super tentative from J-Lo. Like, you can tell she knows she has to do this line instead of like letting it come from within naturally. And it's like so uncomfortable. And then
it's also incredibly disrespectful.
So disrespectful. That is your elder. You sit back and listen.
Who's going to pay for the wedding?
Who's going to pay for lunch? Temp?
Yeah.
Also, I want to get on the record that I feel like I am a temp. Like, I've been a temp my whole
You
life.
have worked in temp positions before, but it was more
I'm
of
a
a
temp.
long-term temp.
Remember when I was a mover?
Contractor?
Do you remember when I was a mover?
What, like a furniture mover?
Do you remember when I moved that family out of their apartment?
Oh, right.
And my mom...
That was the
My
most
mom-
stressful temporary job you've ever had, is when you had to pack up a family's apartment.
Their entire life, I had to pack it up and get it on the road.
You couldn't pay me to do that. And I mean, okay.
I was stupid for taking that job. I was so stupid. But I wanted to buy a phone. Like J-Lo, I couldn't afford it.
That's okay. That's exactly the kind of middle school logic that Jennifer Lopez. I had to take this little league coach position because I wanted to buy a new DVD player.
I wanted a Razor phone. This is 2004. She wanted the hot pink bejeweled Razor.
Yeah, she's like my sidekick broke. I need a new one.
I need a new. Yeah, I've been a temp before, and I've taken some pretty horrible positions. That was when my mom said, when I took the moving job, and my mom said, I just want you to know they're getting a deal on you. Which is the best compliment I've ever received from my mom.
It is. I mean, if anything, your moving services are more highly valued than you might think.
Than I thought. I was severely devaluing myself, and my mom was like, I just want you to know they're getting a deal. And then I was like, yeah, they are. Can't do anything about it, though. It sucks.
I mean, to hire one person
to move your life. They knew they were getting a deal. They're like, discount. Bitch doesn't know what she's worth. $20 an hour? Yes.
If that was me, I would still be in that apartment months later trying to pack it up.
I thought I was going to die in there. I was just surrounded by stuff, and I was like, oh my God, this makes me so anxious. I was like, I'm going to die here.
That's basically what Jennifer Lopez's apartment was. Just
that was her apartment, living in chaos.
Right, and that is what he said. He's like, did you literally just move in here and you didn't unpack? Did you move in this morning?
Yeah, it's not good for your mental health to be in a space like that. And then he moves her into his place, and she's like, Miss still has her apartment, and she's like, hey, you supported me subletting. And he's like,
hey,
I would have done anything to get you to move in here.
Which, okay, by the way, that house that they move into, this gorgeous mid-century home in California, in a neighborhood that is unclear, but it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, they're not very clear with locations.
The windows, the walls, the furniture, everything is perfect. And what does she do? She paints that nasty floral mural.
The flowers.
She does it on one wall, and he doesn't have the heart to tell her that it's ugly. And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm doing three more.
I'll get to the others. Give me some time."
He literally grabs her and forcibly removes her from her painting station.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be cute and flirty. But like, if you think about it,
I saw
in that light,
he was like, you're not ruining this house.
And she's like, oh my God, you can't stop me. They can't they can't like go too long. Like they can't dry, or there's something about them drying. And I'm like, no, let them dry.
Yeah, actually, her response when he removes her from her painting pedestal is confusing, because her complaint is that if
she's like, they can't dry.
Away, the paint will dry. Which
I was so confused by that. I was like, is that like the line?
Yeah, I'm not an artist, but like that's, to me, that seems like goal number one.
That's like the point of painting.
But maybe she hadn't removed her Lisa Frank stencils off the wall, and that she didn't want them to get stuck, because
she wanted to do a little mix action. She's like, no, I want to really, I want to get the perfect shade. You're right. That mural is hideous. It's like a construct of an art department being like, she's creative. Here you go. Put on some overalls.
Not only that, like the floral design that she painted on the wall was a sketch that you would do in your notebook when you're in middle school. Like,
yeah, I was about to say ninth grade.
Teacher is passing out like permission slips, and you're just bored, and you're just like doodling like that. That was what her final product looked like.
And she put it on the wall for permanent. Yeah.
And it would have made, she's not billing herself as an artist, but she has billed herself as a fashion designer. And not that I would have wanted it. It would have looked equally as heinous, but at least it would have made a little bit more sense if she had drawn a dress or a pack of
Yeah.
dogs on the wall.
Her little league team.
A baseball diamond.
A yoga mat. The third eye. Anything
Something.
related to her other temp jobs. If anything, they introduced another temp job
A
into the mix.
stethoscope. Something related to one of her
Yes.
areas of expertise.
I
But
know.
she didn't introduce herself as a gardener or a botanist. So
Yeah. So she's just, as far as I'm concerned,
or
they
a sketch
introduced
artist,
another.
really.
They introduced another hobby into the mix. Sketch artist, painter, Picasso. Oh my gosh, this movie. Oh, it's so hard.
But we digress. Anyway,
we
the
totally just went off. Okay. So
we
the
have to wrap
home-
up the lunch. We have to go back to the lunch.
Okay. So then J-Lo shutting her down causes Jane Fonda to, I guess it's a fake. She's faking a panic attack, right? She fakes it. It's fake.
It's a fake. It's
yeah.
a fake
So she
panic
fakes
attack.
her out, and does Jane Fonda like screams? She does some great scream acting in here and
Jane
hits
Fonda
the floor.
like clutches her chest and rolls onto the ground and
Mm-hmm.
screams and yells as if she's like dying of a heart attack.
Of a
or
heart
something
attack,
like
yeah.
that.
Clutches her chest. And what does Jennifer Lopez say?
She's fine.
She's fine.
The waitress, everyone there is like
So
genuinely
concerned. This is an older
because,
woman
like,
clutching her
she-
chest.
She is older, and like it's not like 100% clear that she's okay. But immediately,
not.
immediately J Lo's like, she's fine, and it
Yeah,
did
and Jane
remind
Fonda
me-
sold it.
It did
sold
remind
it.
me of the most iconic fake passing out performance of our time,
Of our generation.
which is when Tyra Banks in America's Next Top Model was introducing an acting challenge, and Tyra gathers up the girls in the apartment, and she's giving them a lecture on something inconsequential, and then she kind of clutches herself and faints and passes out in front of the girls. And
Yeah.
then as they're all screaming and yelling, she gets up and just looks at them, and she's like, "That's acting."
That's acting,
was acting.
bitches.
And
Fall in
then-
line.
And then what's really funny is that later in that episode, when they go to panel, this
Some of
one
them are
girl-
really mad.
well, the one girl was like, that was like really triggering and upsetting for me, because like either I have like panic disorder, or
Yeah,
like,
or
I know a friend
someone.
that does. And then
Yeah.
Tyra does it again. She does it again to prove her a point that she's like,
No, I know.
she's
That
like,
was
"You-
not
I
okay.
say when.
I say when.
Anyway,
That might have been around this time. That might have been around 05 that this was happening. So this was in the zeitgeist. It was like
they
it was a
might have
hip
been
thing
they
to
might have
do.
been referencing Top Model.
Yeah, I
Good
think they were
point.
referencing Tyra Banks in that exact moment. That moment on Top Model is absolutely iconic and so bananas to think about now.
Well, what's even more bananas about that Top Model moment is that they actually did have a contestant who legitimately passed out at panel, not that season, but like in a different
But
season.
yeah, Boy Who
So,
Cried
like-
Wolf. No one's gonna crowd around. They're gonna be like, great acting. She's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
She's fine.
Wait. I know we have to move on from the lunch. I know we do, because it was like a 3-minute scene. But we
I
have
know,
to
it's-
talk about.
we've
we
talked
have to
longer.
talk about what Jennifer Lopez orders for lunch.
Oh my God! Yes, we forgot. We forgot.
Because
We
this
love
is
this
my
part.
favorite line in the movie. Because okay, so
Jane
they're
Fonda orders the
ordering-
diet special.
Yeah, Jane
Yeah.
Fonda orders like a Cobb salad, whatever, like a normal thin lady lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then Jennifer Lopez, unprovoked, lists off all of her allergies. She's like, I'm allergic to nuts. I'm allergic to eggs. I'm allergic to. It was a laundry
Yeah,
list. of, like-
blueberries, soy. Blueberries and soy. Wait, no. She orders up. She goes, I'll just have a cheeseburger, fries, and a soda, please. Doesn't specify the soda, just says soda. I'm like, okay. It's actually an important detail, and your waiter can't do their job.
Again, as if she's in the cafeteria in middle school ordering.
When you have to take what you can get, because there's only one soda. But this is a restaurant, and it's actually a very nice restaurant. And JLo's wearing a fur top, a fur off the shoulder.
I'm surprised.
Delia's special.
This
So
is not a
bad.
restaurant. They do not have a cheeseburger on the menu. There's
I know.
no way. Unless she's
Yeah.
ordering from the children's menu, which she
She
probably.
probably was with her fucking pigtails.
But anyway, when
Yeah.
after
So she's listing off her allergies, and
yeah,
she's
she
like,
goes through her like constitution long list of allergies that she has. And,
it's like 4 things.
and
4.
then at the end, Jane Fonda was like, oh, it's amazing you've been able to nourish yourself all your life. But we have to get to truly the best section of the movie, which is
fun and games.
Yeah, you're right. This is the fun and games section. Okay, so we need to move up to that. So
yeah,
essentially Jane Fonda has her fake panic attack, and the doctor. Okay, and at this point, we'll come back to this. But there is a gentleman in the hospital with a lab coat on.
Lab coat.
ID
probably
badge.
An ID badge, yes. Looking like a doctor.
Yeah.
And he's like...
Yeah, he's a doctor. As far as you're concerned in the movie, he's a doctor. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm still confused.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, if you're the audience in this film, at this point in the movie, that's the doctor. So you're like, I'm in.
And you would never think to question, is this a doctor? Because it is a doctor.
No, it's a doctor.
And her son, who's a doctor, talks to the doctor, who's a doctor.
Yeah, and you're like,
this will make more sense.
This will make sense later, but you're like, if anyone should know who the doctor is, it's the son, Kevin, who's a doctor. So we trust Kevin.
In what appears to be the same hospital.
Same hospital that he probably works at. So, and doctor is like, she can't be alone. She needs family to look after her. And stupid idiot son Kevin's like, yeah, man, totally, yes. So guess who's moving in?
Guess who's moving in and guess who's moving out? Because conveniently, and I bet the writers had something planned here, Kevin is going on a business trip.
Kevin has a trip.
Oh, on the same week.
The 24 hours later, she moves in. He's got to go to this business trip. Yeah. And Jane Fonda gets wheeled in a wheelchair, which is it's the best visual. She looks so fabulous and she's getting wheeled in, and then like 2 seconds later she's like, so I'm planning the wedding, and she's fine.
Yeah, I mean, she's getting wheeled in because she has to stay with Jennifer Lopez for
how long?
What we're led to believe is at-home mental health services, where Jennifer Lopez is going to help her.
Yeah, she's going to help her. Is it 3 days? I think it's only like 3 days, right?
Is it 3? I thought he was gone for a week.
Okay, well, all in all, short amount of time, because by the end of the week, we have the wedding planned by the end of the week.
And
right?
it's almost like they get married at the end of the week.
At the end of the week. So the timeline of this movie is a little bit...
Yeah, we'll say that she's there for no longer than a week.
Yeah, so Jane Fonda moves in for about a week. And this is just fun and games. And she is slapsticking it up. And Jane Fonda understood the assignment and totally goes for it.
This is 40 minutes of cinema that I could rewatch every day
endlessly
for the rest of my life. It is scene after scene of funny moments where Jane Fonda cooks up these different scenarios.
It's like TikTok.
To just
get
break
under her
down
skin.
Jennifer Lopez. Before we move on from the prank section, I definitely have to mention what was probably my favorite moment when I was like a child watching this for the first time, which was of course when Jennifer Lopez is sleeping on the couch and then all we see is a little air horn pop into the hallway.
Yes.
Jane blows
hits it.
It's like a terrifying air horn, like World War II
blows an air
underground. And Jennifer Lopez does like some dumb startling action. And then Jane Fonda's
flailing around.
Thought it was air freshener. And then
thought it was air freshener. And
then
cackle. The laugh, the cackle.
Oh my God. I knew it was coming because I remembered that scene, but the joy that it produced in me was...
It's amazing.
It was amazing. And then I could also just see I could see that at that point in production, the director being like to J-Lo, hey, we really want to get an authentic jump scare from you. So we're not going to tell you where the air horn is. It could be anywhere in the room.
Surprise.
It's over here.
Jane Fonda's, again, the specificity of the moment, the scream, the cackle afterwards. I'm like, oh my God. It's like a Wicked Witch of the West laugh, but
yeah,
it's like she's delighting in it, and she knows that it's not air freshener, and and it's for an audience of one. Like, it's just Jennifer Lopez in the scene.
Yeah, there's no one else there to watch any of
It's just
this.
an audience of one. No one, like, J-Lo, it wouldn't hold up in a court of law. J-Lo could be like, she was torturing me. She was, like, blowing this air horn. And, like, Jane Fonda would be like, what? I thought it was air freshener. And she'd be like, but you cackled maniacally after. And Jane Fonda would just be like, no, I didn't.
She's like, you're crazy.
You're crazy. Send her away.
Send her away. Well, okay, so that also brings us to an important point, which is that during their stay together, as the audience, we learn slowly but surely that Jane Fonda did not, in fact, have a mental break, and that she's perfectly fine, and that her pills that she's taking are
vitamin C tablets.
Yeah, tablets. Which was a really funny moment because Jennifer Lopez opens the pills and she's like one of her dogs, and she's like, oh, it smells like orange. It smells like oranges. Oh,
there's a lot of under her breath acting going on. Like, a lot of indicating.
She's like, why do these smell like oranges? Oh God,
it's weird.
She's like, who could I take these to? And then she's like, and then she calls up her doctor's office. And
right, I'm a temp.
Reminds herself. That's actually really funny because when she calls the doctor's office, she's like, hey, it's Charlie. No, I'm not working today. It's like, well, obviously, otherwise you would be there, or you'd be in big trouble because
he's like, duh, you're not working today, bitch. We know you're dog walking today.
I have a mission or something.
I'm gonna go drop them off.
She sends the flexible pills that smell like oranges to the doctor's office.
They're chewy and sweet.
For further analysis.
And it comes back as
that they're
Flintstone vitamin C.
Yeah, they're Flintstone gummies, chewables, vitamin C.
Yeah, so then it's like a few nights later, or who knows the timeline, but it's like the next night, and Jane Fonda is like sipping on a martini.
45 minutes later.
45 minutes later. 45 minutes after that, Jane Fonda is sipping on a martini or something, and J-Lo rushes in, and she now knows Jane Fonda's lying. So she's like, oh my God, you can't drink on the pills that you're on. And she takes her martini away, and Jane Fonda's like, oh, bitch. And then J-Lo goes to the sink, and she's like, let me get you your meds, and shakes her. And instead of shaking her 2 vitamin C pills, she like brings in 2 new pills, which I can only describe as indicating for the audience, like in pure pantomime. She's like, she literally audibly goes like, shake, shake, or something to let us know, like, to trick Jane Fonda into thinking she's getting vitamin C pills. Jane Fonda, performance of a lifetime, barely glances at him, chucks him in her mouth. J-Lo serves her a platter of tripe. Yeah. And we're like, ew, gross. And then 2 seconds later, Jane Fonda, delicacy. Also, my family makes it. It's disgusting. 2 seconds later, Jane Fonda flatlines, face into a pool of tripe. Could have drowned. Not to mention,
because it was really watery the way that she served it.
It was soupy. It was
really soupy, and you're right. There was enough water to drown her.
And this literally brings us to death scare number 1 of the film. Number 1 of 2.
And again, this is important because this is really where we cross the line. And like, she's committed what I would consider to be a felony. I
think it is. You can't drug someone.
You can't drug someone for a joke. How
about that? For a joke. Who got a fake prescription of fake vitamin C from a fake doctor, we come to find out. Doctor is a waiter at the local restaurant. This is the most confusing part of the movie. Yeah. One of.
Which is...
It's up there with J-Lo's apartment.
How to explain it. So basically, after this, Jennifer Lopez knows that Jane Fonda is lying about being in treatment for mental health services. Mm-hmm. So one day, Jane Fonda is like, oh, I'm having a really bad day. I'm going to go to the doctor.
The doctor follows her.
She tracks her, and she sees her going out on a day of adventure. She goes to Gucci, and she's like, I don't know how they didn't see her. She was literally standing in the store looking at them, like muttering under her breath. She goes, she was like, no, mental health day my ass. Like something like that in like a clothing store. Like imagine walking by someone's
mental health day my ass.
Like
there's so much under your breath,
but she's
acting
muttering
in this.
it, and they're literally 3 feet away from her. They had to. They
heard.
couldn't have missed her.
They were like, we're performing for her at this point.
Yeah, they're like, this is her idea. Just do the scene. So they.
So J-Lo spots her out at lunch, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The next stop is they go to lunch, and this is where I'll be honest. I still have a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
The doctor, the psychiatrist that we already met, who
in the coat, who talked to the fellow boyfriend doctor.
Yeah, and if you were active listening, we kind of gave you a warning, and we said, "Hey, this is important.
File this away.
You should flag this doctor."
Post
we
it.
We didn't spoil it, right? We didn't.
Yeah,
because we told
just said
you
mark
that
it.
We just said mark this
yes.
moment. So now, the doctor, who we thought was a doctor, is a waiter.
Is a waiter waiting on Jane Fonda. Yes. So then you're like,
but how?
What? So my mind immediately went to she paid him to do that, to fake be a doctor.
To go to the hospital?
But I'm just like, how? How?
It really boggles my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like we can't even spend too much time on it because we have to keep going, and also it makes no sense. Like, how?
My first reaction when I saw him working at the restaurant was like, okay, like maybe this is another side of the temp industry. Like maybe
the doctor is also a temp.
He's also a temp as a waiter.
Or maybe he's just like a nurse, so like he has like very few shifts, so he can pick up a couple at the IV.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's an actor.
Yeah. But what they're hitting us, and again, this is where the movie's done this before. Like at certain moments, they just want to hit you over the head with information, and they're essentially telling you like, "We got you."
Yeah.
We got you.
Ha 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 ha.
Joke's on you. You thought he was a doctor. He's actually
you thought he was a doctor.
A waiter.
Idiot. You dumbass.
And that's the beginning, middle, and end of the story.
Yeah,
so,
that's
but
that.
You're right though. Like we actually can't talk about it because there is no other information provided as to how he conned himself into the hospital to present as a doctor.
Yeah. I'll just say for most of the movie, I was assuming that she was actually diagnosed with these mental health issues because she did have a very real breakdown in the beginning. And I'm just buying into the reality of the movie. And I'm like, oh, okay, so she actually is pretty much unwell. So all of this faking that she's doing, I'm like, is this real? Is this fake? Is she actually having a mental breakdown? Maybe. And then the fake doctor kind of confirms it for you. The movie's like, gotcha. She's fine.
She's fine.
You know, after her 3 months off-screen stint somewhere else, she was fine, presumably.
Yeah.
So, yeah, doctor is a faker. And so that's how Jane Fonda was able to con her way into the house, pay off a friend. So, okay. So we talked about death scare number 1.
Right.
Face in tripe. J-Lo lets her sleep with her face in the tripe all night long.
She doesn't check on her. She doesn't
check on her.
Move her airways to the side.
To the side, yeah. Tilt her head to the side. Nope. She pokes her in the shoulder to make sure she's nice and limp, and then walks away. She's as good as dead. Leaves.
Right. Well, that is what I did think. I was like, what if she did die?
No, that's what I'm saying. You can't give an older woman 2 pills of like God knows what.
Of drugs she hasn't been taken. Like there is.
Yeah, she hasn't been taking them. And like, what if it is like Xanax? And what if she had one martini before that? Like, you don't want to be mixing stuff like that. Or I don't even know what the drug could have been. I like to think J-Lo asked Jeeves it in 2005. But who knows? Or maybe she asked Adam Scott or one of her temp buddies. But that was off screen, so we'll never fucking know.
Yeah, they won't show us that scene.
Yeah, so like I was so concerned for Jane Fonda's life, which is never where you want to be in a lighthearted flick like this. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be considering she might die. But I mean, of course, the next morning she wakes up, so we're good.
Well, the next morning is also kind of curious because we cut to the morning. Wanda Sykes enters, and Jennifer Lopez kind of just strolls by her and like pours herself a cup of coffee while Jane Fonda's head is still
in the tripe,
in the watery tripe.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Good morning."
Yeah, and Wanda Sykes
now they're
is
co-conspirators.
oh my God. And then like J-Lo's like, oh my God, I thought she went to bed. Oh no. And then Wanda's like, I got your number, bitch. And then she looks her in the eye and she's like, I underestimated you. And honestly, I would love that kind of approval from Wanda Sykes. So I actually felt really good in that moment. But also I was like, Jane Fonda needs to wake up. And she did. She did.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a high compliment, but I was sort of just like, ladies, like, let's refocus because like something is actually like a little bit more pressing, like right in the monkey in the middle needs to be attended to.
Addressed, attended to. Get her an inhaler, or I don't know. She inhaled tripe.
Get her a straw, something, just to like poke an air hole through it so that she can start to get some fill up those lungs.
Bendy straw.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, and then Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is like, oh my God, I totally wish I could help you, but I have to go pick up Kevin from the airport. She just pieces out after almost killing Jane Fonda, an elderly woman with 2 pills, which honestly makes death scare number 2 justified.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This repeats the same pattern we've seen so far in the movie, which is that Jennifer Lopez strikes first, and
yes, she does.
Jane
strike
Fonda
first.
has no choice but to retaliate against this. Again, using the language of the movie, this crazy, freaky woman.
This pigtail bitch who lives in Santa Monica.
She's truly out of control.
I do feel like we're missing a bunch of scenes. I would love to see what was on the cutting room floor. I wonder if they fleshed out her like hopes and dreams as a fashion designer, or maybe she wore pigtails the day mom and dad died, so she like loves pigtails, or just anything. Like, would have loved some backstory, but not what the movie's about. So, okay. So Death Scare 2 happens at the rehearsal. It's a rehearsal dinner, right? Right before the wedding?
I mean, it's the night before the wedding, so.
Which is insane,
it's the
because
rehearsal.
It's been a week.
It's a rehearsal dinner.
But okay, yeah, it's a rehearsal dinner at their house. And Jane, oh my God, the scene opens and Jane is in the middle of telling a joke. And it is so enthralling. And she nails the punchline and the whole table erupts in laughter, including me. I'm like, great punchline. Good job, girl.
Yeah.
And so she's like about to go refresh the gravy. And she runs. What did anything provoke her to go do this? She just runs into the kitchen, starts crushing up nuts in a mortar and pestle.
What provoked? So remember, there were 2 unexpected guests at dinner. One was like
I'm an
really
idiot.
kind of like that kind of seductress girl, Fiona, and then
Jennifer Lopez's character J-Lo invites Fiona, Kevin's ex.
No, other way around.
Oh, Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda invites Fiona. Jennifer Lopez invites Dr. Chamberlain / the waiter Chamberlain.
The waiter. Such actor.
Yeah.
Such potential
so there's 2 kind of
improv
like
partner.
2 fun mystery guests, which I've never been to a party with mystery guests, but it looked fun.
It looked so fun. I love a shake up. I love a scramble. So, okay, so Jane Fonda's pissed and she runs into the kitchen. She's like, I'm going to go refresh this gravy. And then she just has a bag of nuts just chilling on the counter. And she dumps them in this mortar and pestle. And the vigor with which she starts crushing these nuts, I'm like, oh my God. And then Wanda Sykes rushes in and she's like, you can't do this. This is a felony. Like, you could kill this girl. She has allergies. And then that's when we're like, oh, right. She's allergic to nuts and blueberries and soy.
I did love the idea that like, okay, like what side could we put the nuts in that has a 100% chance of Jennifer Lopez asking for more? And they're like, because there had to have been other choices, but they're like, oh, put it in.
They're workshopping it.
Put it in
They're workshopping it. She's like,
what's the
more
funniest
stuffing,
side?
More stuffing, please. And then the audience is just like, why is there stuffing at this table?
They're like, no, gravy. Try it with the gravy.
So Jane Fonda like dumps it in the gravy and Wanda Sykes is like, you can't do that. And they're having a whole fight about it. Like, you can't. And Wanda Sykes is like, I'm not going to jail for you. Truly amazing one-liners. I feel bad that we can't spend time on Wanda. Also, Wanda says, oh my God, she goes, if they lock me up, I'm going to sing like a canary. Which I died laughing. It was so funny. I like to think that was an improv. But as they're fighting, idiot doctor / waiter carries the bowl of gravy into the next room.
Doing what he does best, which is, transferring food from the kitchen to the table. Transfer
items in their
when he sees a hot plate, he knows what to do with it. So he brings it right from the kitchen to the table. And this was a really funny line because they filmed it off camera because they wouldn't that Jennifer Lopez did not agree to being on camera to say, I love the more gravy.
More gravy.
But like, she says it as if, and like again, like
this
I know
gravy's great.
She refused to be on camera because like she definitely like mouth acted with gravy in her mouth because it sounded a little full. Like she was like,
I was so confused by the choice to make all of this action happen off screen, and I was like, what is like the logic behind it?
I guarantee you she refused to be on camera and say, I love extra gravy.
I'm gonna find the line because I literally have the transcript right here. But my whole thing was like, did the director think it was just funnier to see Jane Fonda and Wanda Sykes freak out in the next room or whatever? But it's so corny that this plays out off screen.
She read it like she was reading the phone book.
I'm in the script right now, and it's like, gravy, more gravy. Anyone for more gravy? Maybe she won't take any gravy. That's a lot of gravy. This gravy's delicious. That's J-Lo's line. I think we need some more gravy.
Yeah, I mean,
this gravy's delicious is hers.
Beware for gravy in this movie. You're warned.
Take a sip, take a drink every time gravy is mentioned, every time the word temp is mentioned, and every time they make an inappropriate reference to mental health. Yeah. You'll be drunk.
You'll be triped out. You'll be looking like Jane Fonda with the tripe.
Bad. So we get like a little funny little just dumb visual of JLo's lips blown up because she ate nuts, which is really scary and not a laughing matter. Yeah. Death scare number 2. She almost dies.
I will say, though, that she must not have that severe of an allergy to nuts because I didn't see an EpiPen. I didn't see any sort of throat closure. All that I saw were her lips were enlarged. And
and it cured very quickly, overnight. Done.
Right. Keeping in mind her wedding is the next day.
Wedding's the next day. So she wakes up on the day of her wedding. She looks beautiful. She's back to looking like her gorgeous self. She's ready to take the day. I feel like we can skip ahead at this point, right? So she's getting ready. She looks great in that wedding dress. I actually really did like it. It wasn't super dated or anything. It's what a fashion designer would wear.
And like,
very classy.
A dress that somebody else would have designed.
Not her.
Oh, God.
She can't draw.
No, she can't draw.
She can't draw.
Well,
she's a dog. She's the hands of a dog walker.
Well, they do play for laughs. This idea that J-Lo has gone out of her way to design this hideous bridesmaid's dress that Jane Fonda has to wear. But based on the artistic, prowess that we've seen from Jennifer Lopez, it really tracks more as sort of like her final project because it doesn't
it's the best
like
she
she's
can do.
Dumbing down her talent to produce that.
It's
seems
the best
like
she can do.
That's the best she can do. So it is a little confusing that we are supposed to believe that that's the worst that she could have cooked up when it looks
great. It's fine.
Like she's wearing her wall art that she was proud of.
Yeah. I feel like the worst part about it is just, to piss Jane Fonda off. Jennifer Lopez is like, you're going to be my matron of honor and here's your peach dress. And she just puts a bunch of flowers on it and who cares?
Yeah. But I've seen worse, but I've also
seen worse. So do better, art department. Anyway, so Jane Fonda's supposed to be wearing this peach number, but she comes out in head to toe white.
With like a cape.
With like, is it fur? Is it a fur cape, I think?
It's like a side cape, and I think she has like a fur shawl or something.
I mean, she looks so good in her, and I'm going to say white is her signature. Jane Fonda is in white the whole movie. So it's almost like Jennifer Lopez took her color, is how I'm seeing it. Because Jane Fonda kills it in white. But she comes out, and J-Lo's like, you better take that dress off. And Adam Scott's like, clear the room, everybody, get out. And then they have a slap fight. They slap each other, which had to be fun.
It's weird because like this made me think of when I went to go see that movie. Do you remember that movie Obsessed starring Beyonce Knowles Carter and Ali Larter? Do you remember that
Oh
movie?
my God. No. I have
Okay,
to
so
see this.
it was billed as this like a really intense fight between these two women, and like I forget the whole plot, but essentially you're waiting
Doesn't
for
matter.
you're waiting for the end of the movie where these two women are going to come head to head and have like this like crazy fight.
They're
and, like,
building that. Okay.
building up to it. And like you know it's coming, and it's like the thrill of getting through like this slog of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
For this, it was bizarre.
It was a real bizarre
Just because
climax.
we had no like, if you would have paused right before they slapped each other and you said, what are you
Think's
so
gonna
excited
happen?
for that's going to happen right now? I would have said, oh,
Not that.
maybe a funny insult, maybe something, something drops on somebody's toe, like something funny, maybe paint splatters on their dress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
If
it's
the
been a
wedding cake was
slapstick
nearby.
movie.
Yeah, yeah. If the wedding cake was nearby, cake to the face. Just
Cake
something
to the
like
face,
stupid.
something funny.
Yeah.
But physical violence was not something that I
Not in the cards.
had on my bingo card for the end of Monster-in-Law, because you're right though, all the physical violence we've seen so far has been in these like weird like imagination scenes, like where Jennifer Lopez like hits Jane Fonda with a cast iron skillet, and Jane Fonda slams her head into
It's
the
been in
table.
both their imaginations twice. So like
Yeah.
the third time for it to play out in reality is a little shocking.
It was just like
And-
so unsatisfying, and also
It just resolves quick too.
it's a very bizarre message that like all these women had to do was just slap each other a few times, and then
Get it
they
out.
were like,
Hit her.
all right, we're good,
I'm
we're
done.
good,
Yeah, like JLo hits first, I want to point out.
of course.
And then she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And Jane Fonda's like, "Don't you dare slap and then take it back. Like grow a backbone, girl." And then she slaps her.
That's a good point.
And then there's a back and forth of slapping, which, they had to do for real on set, which I love thinking about. And then it's just over. And then JLo's like, "I'm about to call off the wedding." And then Jane Fonda's like, No, let me make it up to you." And then that's when they have their heart to heart and they resolve everything. And it's annoying.
And it's over in like 30 seconds.
30 seconds, wrap it up. And JLo's like, the message is just basically, I want you around. You're my mother-in-law. I want you around.
Her final speech was the most cringy moment in the movie.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch.
Be present for every birthday,
Birthday,
holiday,
school
Little
play,
League game callback. Like
clarinet.
It was like,
clarinet recital.
yeah.
She does say clarinet recital. I'm like, does Jennifer Lopez know what a clarinet recital is?
She's like, I teach clarinet.
It's another one of my gigs.
It was truly. I wrote down. I was like, this is the worst acting I've seen in the movie yet. In that,
Poor Jennifer Lopez. Did I say already in this podcast that I don't want her job in this movie? I don't want to go up against Jane Fonda.
yeah.
So like that's my disclaimer for this. Jennifer Lopez did the best with what she had. I don't want the job. I don't want the job. It's impossible. You cannot go head to head with Jane Fonda. The only person who gives Jane Fonda a run for her money, Elaine Stritch. Right?
Right. And she's in an all
2
too brief
seconds.
role
Yeah.
for the last, I want to say, minute and a half of the movie.
Quite literally minute and a half. And we come to find out that Elaine Stritch is the old monster-in-law, her husband's mother.
Right.
So I just want to say that's the movie I want. I want Jane Fonda, Elaine Stritch, monster-in-law.
Yeah, we need a prequel. Is what we need.
So I want to Mamma Mia to it. I want to.
Oh my God, yes.
Right? I want to take it all the way back to like what, 76, 77?
Yeah,
And I want
make it monstrous-in-law.
monstrous-in-law. Yes. Something to indicate number 2 sequel,
Yeah.
but same everything, same vibe. So that's the movie I want. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's
Oh, and Elaine Stritch is the one who delivers the line, "I heard you got sacked and thrown into a loony bin."
that's where it is. Yeah.
And I'd argue it works coming from, an actress who's at that point, what was she, like 70 something, pushing 80? At that point, it works. She can say that.
Yeah, she can
You
say
know?
it. She can say it.
it.
But you're right though that like, and like what is also like should be communicated now is like the movie is over because
The movie's over.
the movie literally ends, and
It ends really abruptly, actually.
so abruptly.
Kind
like
of
we
in
get
a,
the backstory
yeah.
about Jane Fonda, then
Yeah, that she faced the same kind of monster-in-law scenario. Boom.
they get married. We don't see Kevin again, which is fine with me.
Fine.
And then
Keep Kevin off screen.
I mean, he's there, but he's neither here nor there. And then the
Put a
movie
cardboard
ends,
cutout.
and that's it.
They're driving away, and Jennifer Lopez goes, "Hawaii, I'm so excited."
Oh my god! I was like, you would.
It's at that point, it's not her fault. It's like this script, like I said, show don't tell, and if you're gonna show, which you did, don't also tell. And they had to tell. It's like they couldn't help themselves. The screenwriter.
It would have. It's almost as if she pulled out the airline ticket and said, "My ticket says Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii for our honeymoon."
I'm so excited. Oh my god.
So
we love this movie.
It was a pretty uninspiring honeymoon choice, but I will say though that I legitimately laughed out loud so many times watching this movie in a way that like caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's absolutely shocking. It shouldn't be so funny.
But billed as a 2 co-star film, it's not.
It's not.
And listen, I love Jennifer Lopez. We saw Hustlers together in the movie theater, and she was wonderful. That was another movie that was billed as a 2 co-star, Constance Wu and Jennifer Lopez.
Not necessary. Nope.
No,
Jennifer Lopez
one
all the way.
star. It was 1 star, and her name was Jennifer Lopez. In this movie, there's 1 star.
1 star. Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda.
Yeah, it's super interesting to me that this was very clearly a Jennifer Lopez star vehicle, and it's like my dumb idiot brain was like, "Oh, this is a Jane Fonda vehicle."
It is a Jane Fonda vehicle
because she's the star.
Yeah, there's room for 1.
Okay, so oh my god, so it's been an hour 50.
Oh, an hour 50 or hour 15?
50, 50.
Oh, we're going to have to cut it down.
We're really going to have to cut this one down. We had fun. Guys, that was so much fun. This movie's so much fun. I mean,
if you can believe it, and this is shocking, there are almost half of the movie we didn't even cover.
We didn't talk about Kevin. We didn't talk about Wanda Sykes. We didn't talk about her friends. Oh my God, we didn't talk about so much. Oh my God, where's your bridesmaid's dress? Because when she takes the dress off and comes out in white, she goes, "I gave it to Ruby's daughter. She works at Hooters. She loved it." And then we cut to Ruby, who's Wanda Sykes, and she goes, "I don't have a daughter." So what have you learned about the star vehicle today? I mean, I think it's what we've always been talking about, which is we refer to them as Jennifer Lopez and Jane Fonda because truly they are Jennifer Lopez and Jane Fonda in this role.
Yeah, they're just movie stars acting in a movie.
They're movie stars.
And I think what's so fun about these movies, again, is that like how so many other aspects of a film have to be sacrificed in order for the stars to shine.
You don't want anyone stealing focus.
And that's what makes them so enjoyable.
Write them like shit.
Yeah.
Write the supporting characters like ass. I think the dogs kind of eclipsed J-Lo for like a little bit, and they were like, "Ooh, this is bad."
Yeah. They had to like give the dogs a talking to like kind of settle down because they were pulling focus.
Yeah, I just have like written, it's another easy star vehicle. Nothing is sad or too scary.
No.
Aside from the slapping at the end and the 2 death scares. Never mind. I take it back.
Yeah, I mean, you never really think anybody's in any like
in
legitimate
any real
harm,
danger.
but
yeah,
they definitely, they
put you at ease.
They put you at ease. Yeah, I think that the last thing I want to say is that much like, and I wrote this down, much like Jennifer Lopez is at her temp jobs, in this movie she is of no help. And I think that's where I want to end it.
I don't want to say anything past that.
We're done.
Please let's not ruin it. That's all, folks.
And scene.